Welcome, Fellowship Youth, to week number 3 of Save the Date, a series that we've been doing the last couple weeks while we've been under quarantine, all about dating, because I know right about now all of y'all are feeling restless. You're probably messaging people you don't need to be messaging, and there's probably people messaging you who don't need to be messaging you. So here's my encouragement. Don't answer those DMs, especially if you don't know that person, okay? We've been talking for the last couple weeks just about things that have to happen before you can even go on a date with somebody. You got to know who you are. You got to know what parameters are there. You have to have these things before you can even date successfully. And so today we are going to talk through a little bit of what it means to actually date somebody. Some of the things that you need to know when you're actually in that relationship with somebody. And so let me start out by asking you a question. Can you remember the last time that a song got stuck in your head? Like something that was just like addictive to your brain, that you just couldn't stop singing it, or it was always all up in your head and the rhythm just sticks with you throughout the day. I grew up in Texas, I grew up in the South, so the one that I always couldn't get out of my head was Cotton Eye Joe. And if you don't know that song, don't look it up, do yourself a favor, because once you hear that song, you cannot unhear that song. So don't look up Cotton Eye Joe if you don't know what it is, but it used to always get stuck in my head and I just couldn't stop hearing it, and it would just stick with me in my head. And all of us have a song like that. Cotton Eye Joe has claimed many lives for its own, but many of us have a song that we just can't get out of our head like that. But music isn't the only thing, it's not the only thing that gets stuck in our brains. Whether it's a pair of shoes or you want to buy, or a piece of candy that you can't have yet, something you're wanting to purchase on Amazon, it's been sitting in your shopping bag for a long time, it's on your mind all the time. And we all get the idea of becoming mentally consumed with a thing or a person or an idea. And if you found yourself interested in someone recently, then you know that it's a lot like getting a song stuck in your head. You start thinking about that person, you can't stop, you're always wondering what they're doing, what are they thinking, what do they think about me? It becomes all encompassing to what you're thinking about. In fact, it maybe even become an obsession. And that's not where I want you to get in dating. We want to avoid obsession in every way, okay? And so the problem is not necessarily that you can't shake a person out of your head, or that you're thinking about them, or they make you get butterflies. That's not exactly a problem, but it becomes a problem when that person or idea or thing, when it really does become an obsession. That's what I want to help you avoid today. So how do we know when a person or idea becomes an obsession? If it's when you have somebody in your life and they're the only thing you think about. You don't think about your other friends, you don't think about a sport you play, the instrument you want to play, you don't think about anything else. All you're thinking about is that person. When you have somebody in your life and they're the only person that you spend time with, not just like as friends, but in dating relationships, and they're the only person that you spend time with, that could show partially an obsession. When you have somebody in your life and they're all you talk about when you're with other people, that's not a great sign. It's kind of a red flag for us guys, okay? And when you don't have somebody in your life, but the idea of someone is always in your headspace, it's always what you're thinking about, what you're consumed with, those are bad signs, those are red flags. And I'm not saying that it's a sin to do those things. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this, is that could border on a place of obsession, and that's not healthy for anybody. When everyone else in your life seems to fade out because of this person or this thing, that's an obsession, and that can cause problems for you, and it's not healthy, and it makes you miss out on things. It makes you alienate other people from your life. And in this series, we've been talking about saving the date, or rescuing your dating life before it even starts. But what do you do to make sure you're not the one who needs saving? If you're not the one, to make sure you're not the one who has obsessive tendencies. So in order to help us do that, we're going to look at a passage from a letter written by Paul. We're going to look at Ephesians 5 here in just a second. And we're going to be in Ephesians 5 verse 15. And this is how Paul starts it. He says this: "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise." So he starts this passage talking about we need to live our lives wisely and not unwisely, right? And using words like wise and unwise is perfect to talk when we come to talk about dating. And it's really as much about is that person good or bad? Is this person a good person or a bad person? But is that person good for me? Is that person bad for me? Are they good for me right now in this season that I'm in? Are they good for me right now? And if you have an obsessive personality, or if you struggle with somebody else who's obsessive about things and makes a mountain out of a molehill or anything like that, then you really need to consider these things about how to date wisely. You have to make sure you're asking the right question, and you have to be willing to be honest with yourself when it comes to that. So in if you want to date somebody, but you know they're not in a good place, maybe they just got out of a relationship, maybe they're struggling with, their family life, maybe they're struggling with their home life, maybe now is not a great time for you to push yourself into their life. That's just the reality, and we have to be willing to be honest with ourselves in those times. And if you're obsessed with someone, it really clouds your judgment. You don't think about it that way. And so I always say that it's wise when it comes to dating is to go to somebody who's wiser than you in life or older than you in life, somebody that you trust, like a parent. Doesn't exactly have to be a parent, but I used to go to my dad about these things and talk to him about it, because if we're obsessed with someone or an idea, our judgment becomes clouded and we don't see things the way they need to be seen. But Paul is encouraging his general audience, pay attention to what you do and do your best to make the wisest choice for you and for that other person. We have to care about the other person. If you care enough to date them, you care enough to date them at the right time. And here are some questions that we need to ask ourselves when it comes to dating. At what point does a healthy interest in someone become an unwise obsession? So at what point do we need to know that that's not a good decision for us? Maybe that's who that other person is. Maybe they believe different things than you. Maybe they don't agree with you about some things. Maybe y'all don't really click together. I mean, you may be attracted to someone, but they're just not really the same person when you get to know them, okay? That's an okay thing, and that's why it's dangerous to rush into relationships like that, because if you don't really know the person yet, that's a dangerous place for you to be in. It's not a healthy place for you to be in. It's a place where you can make mistakes and they can make mistakes, and the only thing that ends is hurt. That's the only thing that happens in the end. But Paul continues here in verse 16. It's the next verse. He says, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. And in dating, it is so easy to mess up. It's easy to make a mistake. Like Paul says, these days are evil. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of temptation, a lot of things that even our parents didn't really deal with, okay? Dating in the technology age, I mean, there's so many different ways that we can mess up, so many different ways that we can be tempted or have temptation sneak into our lives. And it's just different than dating was even 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. It's incredibly different than it was then. And these days they're evil. Okay, there are things that can happen to us like that in the blink of an eye that are going to hurt us permanently, not just in this season, not just in this moment, but in permanent times. And something that I want for this youth ministry is, if something has happened to you, or if you're afraid of something happening to you, or anything like that, we want to be here to support you through those times and through those things, because we all make mistakes. We all hurt other people, and we've all been hurt by other people. And I want to be here for you in either situation. I want to pray for you. I want to lead you through what it looks like to gain health on the other side of that. I want you to know what it's like to grow through things and to use what you've learned from a last relationship to help with the next one that you have. But like I said a minute ago, it's so easy to make a mistake while dating. And that's why it's so important to be honest with ourselves about where we're at and make decisions about who we date, when we date, and why we date. And if you can't answer those questions, odds are you don't need to date. That's not for you yet, because if you can't answer those questions, guess who's going to get hurt? You are. That's the way that dating works. And that's why I want y'all to make the most of your opportunities wisely when it comes to dating. Okay, I'm not saying you need to go out and date and get experience with everybody that you can. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is this, is that if you do end up dating someone in high school or even in middle school, make the most of your opportunity to learn how these things work. Okay, and I know this is going to be a little bit heartbreaking for a lot of people, but the person that you date your 8th grade year or your freshman or sophomore year of high school, I'm going to go ahead and say that the odds are not exactly in your favor to marry that person. Okay, now, I am Grace's high school sweetheart. I was out of high school by the time that we started dating. She was a junior in high school when we started dating, and she ended up marrying her high school sweetheart. She got lucky, okay? That's all I'm saying. That seems a little bit self-serving now that I say it, but the fact is this. When you date young, there is a high possibility that you will not marry the person that you're dating right now. And that's a hard truth to see. That's a hard truth to understand. But also, it's for your own good that you know that you need to be careful, because you can't cross over lines now that you're saving for later. But Paul wants his readers and us to make the most of the time we have here on earth. And when it comes to high school, These are some of the most unique years of your life. Okay, so for the middle schoolers out there, you're coming into high school, you're going to get the same spiel from me. You're going to get the same words from me, is that you have the least amount of responsibility tied with the most amount of freedom in high school. So you're not responsible for making your own income. Most of you are not responsible for paying your own bills and those kinds of things. You may have some bills that you pay. I get it. The point is this: you are probably not depending solely on yourself for your life. But also, you have the most freedom because you're starting to be able to drive now. You're starting to be able to make the choices that you want to make for your life, but you don't have to deal with all the consequences. This is a really special time in your life. Don't waste it putting too much time into a person that either doesn't feel the same way about you or will leave you high and dry when the next step in life happens. Dating someone can be a part of this special time in your life, but it shouldn't hold you back from doing things that this is your only opportunity to do. So to make the wisest choice with the time you have, don't make anyone your everything. That's not what dating is about, especially not in middle school and high school. It can't be. Because if you make someone your everything, you miss out on what's going on around you in this special time of your life. And if your dating life is holding you back from the rest of your life, it may be time to rethink some things. And I'm not saying that you need to go break up with the person you're dating right now. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this, is that if y'all don't have healthy balances in your relationship or your life, you're only going to hurt each other. You're only going to end up getting hurt. And I don't want that for any of you. And here's what that might look like. Getting some healthy boundaries, like getting a hobby that actually doesn't involve the other person. If you're currently in a relationship, don't write off the rest of the world around you. Go to the games on Friday night instead of hanging out with your boo, or bring your boo to the game. I don't care. Do something that you can only do while you're at this point in life. And if you aren't dating anyone, stop thinking that your life can't be good unless you are, because that is not the truth. This is a special time, especially if you're single, because I know it's terribly cliche to use the phrase tied down, but when you're in a relationship, you are tied down because you have responsibilities to respect that person and to spend time with that person and to do those things with that person. And that's something that you signed up for if you're dating. But if you're not dating someone, your life can still be great and amazing, and you can experience high school fully and to the fullest without dating someone. You can do that. And I don't want anyone thinking that you can't. Same with middle school. I would say you probably experience middle school a little bit better if you don't have a boyfriend or girlfriend. Just saying, I've experienced both sides of it. Middle school was a long time ago, and many things have changed, and many things have gotten better. So you do have something to look forward to. But as we finish up and conclude today, I want you guys to realize that I'm not at all through anything in this series saying that you shouldn't date. I don't make those rules for you. I don't want to tell you what to do with your life. What I am telling you are things that will protect you when you come to that point in your life, because we're all going to date somebody at some point. And I want you guys prepared for that. I don't want you guys to go in blind, okay? Not every date should be a blind date, okay? I don't want you guys going in there just having no idea what expectations are there or what you should expect or anything like that. I want you guys to be safe. I want you to be protected, but I also want you to enjoy it and to learn something from it and to hopefully find who you're going to spend the rest of your life with, because that's the ultimate goal of dating. And if that's not your ultimate goal of dating, there's not a whole lot of purpose and point in doing it, okay? There's a dose of reality that we're dating to marry somebody, and then there's another dose of reality that the only way to learn how to date is to date. And so I know you just have to have a healthy balance there in the middle. You have to understand that this person can't be your everything, because there's a chance that it may not be the person that you marry. But there's another piece of this, that you want to learn how to do things right so that you can honor your future spouse, the person that you're going to date for a while before you marry them. You want to do it right? All of us want to do this right. We want to do it correctly. And it starts with a relationship with Christ at the center of it. The fact is, finding security in a person is dangerous because we are flawed people. We have problems. We make mistakes. But finding your security in Christ is the perfect thing for you, because he is not flawed. And he does not make mistakes, and he loves you, and he died for you. And if that's not the starting point of your relationships, I'm encouraging you to take that step today and put Jesus at the center of your life before you ever meet another person who is worthy of you dating. You guys, I miss you so much. I love you so much. And I can't wait for the day that we get to come to youth again. It's going to be a party. It's going to be a celebration. It's going to be an amazing thing. So if you guys need something, reach out to the account. I'd love to connect with you. Y'all have a nice day.